Hi, my name is Jeff Ursink, and this is my YouTube channel. I've owned the YouTube channel since 2007. I've only ever used it to upload videos and snippets for my own personal use or for social media. This is the first time I'm actually addressing YouTube followers or anybody else who views the video as a call to action. And that call to action is this: my debut collection of poetry entitled Grace Notes from a Bohemian in Wanderlust has been published and will be available for release mid-August from Finishing Line Press in Kentucky. Now, you have until June 16th, which is only 9 days away, to pre-order the chapbook and receive a $2 discount. After that, the book will be available on Finishing Line Press's website and Amazon.com for $2 more. But the reason to buy before the 16th is really to help me out, because the volume of books sold by the 16th sets my royalty percentage for the life of the book as long as Finishing Line publishes the book. So that's the call to action. In the text of the video, I will have more information, including the link to order, and I'll also have a couple snippets. I'll actually have two poems from the book, one a free verse poem and one a rhyme poetry, so you can read it. My background is I'm an actor, playwright, poet, sometime producer and director of my own plays. My day job is as an activity assistant for a retirement community here in Wisconsin, and I've been doing that it'll be 5 years now in August of this year. It is the most fulfilling job that I've had. Before that, I was a journalism major in college. I never wanted to be a journalist, but I wanted to improve my writing. I had an advertising emphasis, so I worked in advertising for a couple of years as a copywriter, moved to Iowa to act, and then I moved to California to pursue acting there. And I did some commercials and B movies that you've probably never seen, music videos, commercials. I said that already. And I lived in North Hollywood. I lived in Culver City. I lived 7 years in Bel Air, which is an Icelandic saga poem in and of itself. But it was in California that I started to write plays. I've probably written 6 full-length plays and 15 to 20 short plays. 2 of those plays, including Pass the Salt Please, were adapted to short film, and Pass the Salt Please went to 37 film festivals around the world, garnering 6 awards. It stars Fionnuala Flanagan, who's a Tony nominee, and Seymour Cassell, who's an Oscar nominee. It did very well. It's a very funny flick. Unfortunately, it's not available for public consumption as of right now. It wasn't until probably 2015 or so that I started to write poetry. Before that, I didn't read a lot of poetry. After high school, I got hooked on Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass, and he's been my go-to poet ever since, kind of the grandfather of free verse poetry. But I started writing poetry in 2015, and then hit it hard in 2018, and now I've averaged 30 to 40 poems a year. And I know I'm getting better because when I started out, I set up files A, B, C. A being poems I thought were worthy to submit for publication or for competition, and C being the poems that I thought were just mediocre. And as I've progressed in the years writing, I've noticed more of my poems are going in the A folder. So it's a baseline for me, it's a gauge, and it tells me that my poetry is getting better. Now, I'm not going to say that my poetry is as good as Whitman's or Poe's or, Tennyson, Thoreau, Jim Harrison, who's a contemporary poet. But I will tell you that Finishing Line, that specializes in poetry, has deemed the poems worthy for publication. So you'll have to take their word for it. What else can I tell you? Here is the book jacket. Actually, there'll be a picture of me on the cover. This is for postcards. And I'll have this in the copy of the video as well. but I'm very excited about it. Poetry for centuries was revered as an art form. Poets were revered, and that's kind of waned. Um, the current trends show poetry is kind of on an upswing. I don't think it'll ever reach what it was. But the great thing about poetry is that it addresses the human condition. We all experience love, we experience death, we experience aging, we are uh, confronted with nature every day. And those are the topics that I address and many poets address in their poems. Um, and I think that if you enjoy poetry, this might be a great book for you to take a look at. If you know someone who enjoys poetry, it would be a great gift. If you are involved in a book club, it might be a great change of pace from novels to read and discuss poetry. My philosophy on poetry is that I write for the common person. I don't want to write over their heads because I think that's contributed to the slam that poetry gets, that it's for intellectuals and it's this gobbledygook that no one understands. I guarantee you, of the 34 poems in Grace Notes, three-quarters of them you'll understand. I do write some heady poetry, but poets have to expand and try new things. But most of my poems are palatable to the guy or girl next door. And I'll have a couple of those, as I mentioned, in the copy. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wrote or that I didn't mention. And I'm not editing this video, so you're going to get a lot of ums and ahs. I think that's it. So June 16th is the deadline to pre-order Grace Notes from a Bohemian and Wanderlust for a $2 discount. You'd be helping me tremendously. You can pass this video link on to anyone, post it, share it. And again, Grace Notes from Bohemian and Wanderlust will be available for delivery August 16th from Finishing Line Press in Kentucky. And I thank you for your patronage.